everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Anglicans. I am Ayanna James, your host, and today I am going to speak with a young lady who encouraged us as a diocese a few days ago to pray and fast for the Caribbean. Those of us in the diocese on WhatsApp chat would have seen that document, a very thorough document, I might add, shared with us. And I really wanted to chat with her to find out, about her and her inspiration to do something like that. So I would like to introduce to you Maia Williams. Maia, welcome to Conversations with Anglicans.
It's nice to be here and thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So Maia, I want to start with the fact that I heard that you are getting ready to embark on a very important journey, a literal journey, yes, but also a figurative spiritual one. I don't know if you could share that journey with us, please, that what you're going to embark on.
Yes, so I will be taking part in a program at the Community of St Anselm, which is at Lambeth Palace in London. And it was a program that was founded several years ago by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the current one, Archbishop Justin Welby. And the pillars of the community are prayer, study, and service. And so the entire time there, they call it a year in God's time, and it's focused around those three things: prayer, study, and service. So there is daily prayer, there are periods for study, and there are also periods for service, community service, given back to the community. And it is a 9-month program. They say a year, but it's basically more or less 9 months you would be there. And basically there are two categories, one of which is the immersive group. And the immersive group is the group of persons who would literally be living at the community for the duration of the program. So you'll be sleeping there, eating there. All the members of the immersive group would be taking part in the various activities together, sometimes personally because they have time for personal prayer as well. So there's also okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this year we are on the Seventh Consort, and the program is unique in the sense that it includes persons from various parts of the world. So currently there are at least 9 different countries being represented in the current group of persons who will be participating. So that's a lot. There are persons from Sudan, France, Sri Lanka, so it's really, I'm the only person from the Caribbean. So wow. It's really a very unique opportunity in the sense that it caters for 2 types of people. It caters for the type of person who loves adventure, who loves meeting new people. It's the ideal opportunity for that. And then it also caters for the persons who who are more reserved, who may not be very open to meeting new people, but would like to come out of that. And it provides a safe environment for that. So if you fall into any of those 2 categories, it is for you. And to find more information on the program, you can actually look up the Community of St Anselm on Google. And when you go onto their website, you'll see a section that says, "Is it for me?" You click on it and they actually give you a detailed explanation of what community life would be like. So you get an understanding of if it's a place that you want to go.
Wow, that sounds like something I might be interested in, a year-long, a 9-month kind of retreat. That sounds really interesting. So I wanted to find out from you, Maia, how how are you at this point where this is something that you want to engage in? So we're going to start from the beginning now, and we want to start with you growing up in the Anglican church. What was that like for you? What were some of the things that you participated and, impacted you growing up?
Growing up in the Anglican church, I was always very involved. So I started off, I used to attend Sunday school all the time. My family, well, my cousins came to church with my mom, and the whole church thought that we were all brothers and sisters because my mom came with us religiously every Sunday. So they saw that we were all, brothers and sisters, but they were really my cousins. And I was in Sunday school, as I said. I remember taking part in the Mothers Union quiz, and then later on, Vacation Bible School. And when I was too old to be part of Vacation Bible School, I started to help with Vacation Bible School. And then I later became the secretary of the youth group. And after that, I joined the youth choir. And not only was I involved in my church, but I also was involved in Anglican church at UE. I was the first president, the first student president of the movement of Anglican staff and students. And I'm actually wearing the jersey just to represent.
I didn't get one of those when I was there. I didn't get one of those. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I've always been very active in the church.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm listening to you listing out all those things, Maia. And people say there's nothing for young people to do in church and so forth. But I mean, look at all the activities that you're involved in, and you continue doing that into university as well. So that must be commended. And kudos to your mom too for bringing not only you, and your family, but others as well. So that is really good. As you would have gone along in the church, there would have been a negative experience that you had happened to you that would have caused you to have, to feel, a certain way. I don't want to use the word negatively, but it would have caused a shift. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that with us.
Yes, I would describe the experience as being more traumatic. I have always been someone who would be considered to be a good listener. So even in school, whenever my classmates had their little arguments between themselves and they weren't talking to each other, they would come to me and be like, Maya, this person said that, my friend did this, I have a problem. And I would be the one to listen to them. Right. So I had developed that ability to listen well. And so whenever people approach me and they with a problem, I usually would receive them and would give them my undivided attention. And a particular individual had approached me in that way, saying that they wanted to talk. So me, being my usual self, accepted, and I went with good intentions to listen to this person. And although I had good intentions, they didn't. Right. And so I came out of that experience very traumatized, and I felt unsafe going to church. And after some time, I stopped going to church altogether. I took about a year before I was able to open up to a member of the church about the experience. And one of the things that the person said to me then was that I didn't have enough evidence and no one would believe me. And at that point in time, I really felt shattered. Like any courage that I was able to build up until that point, whatever courage I was able to muster to approach them, it just kind of died. And I didn't feel comfortable to reach out to anybody else in the church after they had said that. And so, I mean, I was attending counseling, and I eventually was able to express what had happened to my counselor.
Good.
And it's kind of an ironic experience, in that I was hurt within the context of church, and I somehow was able to find peace in the idea of attending another church program within the same church to help me kind of come to a place of recovery.
Right.
And it took a while to come to that point. It took a while before I was able to hope for the best for the person, for me to want to wish well for them, hoping for their that they are able to overcome whatever issues they have that have caused them to become the way that they are. And then it took a while for me to also come to a point where I stopped, where the question, who else, overpowered the question, why me? So it was a very, I guess, difficult, a challenging journey to be able to come to the point where you're no longer looking at, okay, just my pain, but thinking, who else experienced this? Who else was hurt in this way? Who else was at church or within the context of church and had a traumatic experience, reached out to a member of church and was shut down? Who else didn't feel safe in church after something happened to them and they never came back? What else could have possibly happened? To what extent did they seclude themselves because of this experience? Who else grew up with a father who didn't know how to love himself, a father who didn't love their mother well, and a father who didn't love them well, and now doesn't know how to love others well? And it became more profound than just feeling the pain and feeling sorry for myself. There was probably even a point in time when I tried to figure out if there was anything else that I probably could have done, and if there was a way that I could have avoided the situation. But it just, there's no excuse for what took place. It doesn't matter how many different scenarios I run through my head, there really is no excuse for anyone hurting anyone. And it brought me to a conclusion where I saw two main issues. First issue being that church needs to be a place where people can come and have experiences and be able to reach out to someone in confidence. Church should be a place where someone feels safe to speak about something, a real situation that they had in life. Because I'm sure that there are many other persons, probably not a similar experience, maybe in a different way, in a different context, that may have felt hurt by someone in church and couldn't find an outlet for their frustration. And also, church should be a place where men especially can come to, where men are told that they are special, they are important, because a lot of young men grew up without a father figure, without a father, and even women as well. And I personally believe that men are the foundations of families, and if anybody should know what they're supposed to do, how to be how to love themselves, how to love the opposite sex, how to love their children and stuff. It should be men. And so we should provide an avenue for that, because when men don't know how to love themselves, how to love others, then women suffer twice. They suffer under the hands of fathers that don't know how to love them. And then again, they suffer in relationships with men who don't know how to love themselves either. So I know that there has been a movement for women empowerment, but I feel like it's a time to transition into man empowerment, because the society that we live in is in need of men who are able to take responsibility and to just, do the right things when it is needed. So those are two things that weigh heavy in my heart, two things that I want to see resolved.
Wow. First of all, I would like to say I'm really sorry about the experience that you had in church. And I agree with you where you say that church should be safe. I just want to make it clear, though, that, you are not, it's not like you're saying anything against the Anglican Church in general. It's not as if that you have anything against the Anglican Church, but this is your experience. And I just want to say thank you for being brave enough to share it with us, right? I really want to go back to something that you said, where you were able to shift from why me to what about others? I think, are there others? I think that was the question that you asked, right? Yeah. And you said that you went to counseling. Was there a particular moment when you made that shift? I'm really curious to find out about that, because, sometimes when something bad happens to us, it's really easy for us to stay in that victim mood, that something happened to me, right? But you were able to shift it outwards. So is there anything that you remember in your counseling, praying, anything that caused you to make that shift?
I believe that at some point I realized that church is a public environment. At many times there may be people in compromised situations, and it's very possible in any environment where there are many people that if someone experiences something bad by the hands of a particular person, it's possible that that person has probably done it before. There could be, and especially if they are good at causing harm to others, they must have had some practice. So it's very possible, especially in situations where it is about abuse of any sort. It could very well be that that person was probably a repeat offender. So it's not like it was something that was completely, it's not like, it was kind of more of it kind of happened more logically.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In the sense that I know that this person would be interacting with other people, but I know that I'm not the only person who might have problems, who might reach out to someone, or who might be in a vulnerable place. And so if someone is prone to taking advantage of persons, then they would be, it's easy for them to pick out people who may seem to have be struggling at any point in time. So it just seemed like, this is not something that only happened to me. And also, when we just look at the society that we live in, we see it happening all the time. If we even recall the Andrea Barrett's instance, and even one of my coworkers had an experience where she was in public transport. She was in a maxi heading home. She was sitting next to a strange man, and then the man began to physically and verbally abuse her. And she started to shout And the people in the maxi, there were men on the maxi, women, people in the maxi just pretended like nothing was happening. And it became so overbearing for her that she stopped the maxi, she hurried out, and all the driver said, you know, the usual thing that men do when a man doesn't do what's right, you know, a little tap on your wrist. Why could do the girl that? I mean, this man is harassing this woman, and the most anybody says is, oh, you could do the girl that. I mean, that could have been your daughter. Would you be like, oh, you could do my daughter that? No. Chances are that man would not be alive today. And so it has to come, it has to be, it can't just be, it isn't just me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
so I guess I just reached a point where it was just like, you know, it's not enough. Just legalizing pepper spray is not enough, because what if they have pepper spray too? So it's more than just my pain. I see it as the pain of probably the persons who experience the same thing and probably just like me were afraid to reach out, who probably tried to reach out and was shut down. And you know, it's a cycle. It usually is a cycle. Someone is hurt, they don't know how to deal with the hurt, and they hurt others. And I didn't want to be a part of perpetuating the cycle of pain. I felt like it was more important to try to do something about it. It's more important to do something about it, because if we accept it, we could never change it.
Right. And we need to be serious about that phrase being our brother's keeper. So when we see something that doesn't look kosher, that doesn't look right, we need to say something and do something about it as well. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that you were able to shift from yourself to thinking about others. And I really hope that we as a diocese and as a nation in general think about others as well. You know, one of the things you said that you reached out to someone in church and they shut you down, right? Is there anything that you'd want to say to somebody right now who may have had that experience or is thinking about sharing something that happened to them, and they're afraid of being shut down? What would you say to somebody who's looking on and has that concern?
I would say to find someone who is trustworthy to speak to. There are several hotlines that you can call as well. And if you had a traumatic experience, I would strongly advise seeking counseling, because it helps in guiding you along the thoughts that you should follow to come out of the situation. And I would also suggest introspective prayer. I don't know if that's what I want to use, but like spending time in the word, understanding the way that God sees you, because sometimes in these situations, you feel worthless. You feel worthless, and an understanding of the way that God sees you can help in coming out of that box that you kind of feel like it's closed in on you.
Yeah, that's some really good advice, man. I really hope that if there's anybody that's listening, you know, they'll be able to reach out to somebody that they really and truly trust. And hopefully that person that they trust will be able to assist them, you know, divulge something that would have been traumatic to them. Now, you said that you felt unsafe going to church. You stopped going to church at a point in time, but here you are going on a retreat, you know, the Anglican church. So how did you, I mean, you went to counseling and so forth, yes. But I don't know, walk us through how you reached that point where you wanted to have 9 months to a year, I guess, you know, spending time with God, you know?
Well, apart from that experience, there were also several things that were happening in my life. I was doing my degree. and I was actually doing a double major. So that in itself was a lot of pressure, and life in general just became very overwhelming, and I felt tired. I literally was feeling tired in every possible sense, physically, mentally, emotionally drained. Just, I was feeling quite empty. And so I kept saying, I need a break. I used to pray. I was praying and I was like, I really need a break. And in one of my counseling sessions with Reverend Tanya, she had actually introduced the Community of St Anselm to me. She told me about it. And I went online, I Googled it, and I clicked on the same, the tab that says, is it for me? And I read through it and I really connected with it because it felt like exactly what I felt I needed, which was an opportunity to be able to move away from the busyness of life, the hectic life, work, school, home, just everything that was going on, to be able to settle myself in an environment where I don't really have to worry about paying bills or anything like that. So it was what I needed, what I was praying for, so to speak. And so I felt led to apply for the program. But it took time for me to get there because I saw it and I was like, it feels right. But I tried to ignore it. And I was unable to forget it for a year. And then I just decided, you know what, if I can't seem to forget this program, what I saw, it keeps weighing on me, I might as well just apply. So I did.
Right. The Holy Spirit, doesn't let up. So I'm glad that you listened and you were obedient and you filled out the form, and here you are embarking on this journey. Now, recently you would have shared with us as a community a call to fast for the Caribbean. What was the inspiration for that? I found the document was so detailed. I mean, well put together. So kudos to you. I think it's you and your sister that would have worked on that. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, that was kind of it came about in an almost comical way because my sister and I were in her room together, and I was just there like, how long I waiting for this Cuban vaccine? And she at the same time was thinking about Cuba. She was like, she just received a message saying that a boat of people from Haiti were trying to enter Cuba. And I know they're both countries that are experiencing very intense circumstances currently. Cuba, they have developed some of the most effective vaccines, and they are having problems to produce the vaccine for their own population. And then I thought, Haiti is one of the oldest one of the oldest republics in the Caribbean, and yet still one of the most underdeveloped. And I think at that point in time, we both were feeling a kind of weight about, the situation within the Caribbean. We have what we need right here, and yet still we just can't seem to come together to make things work. And how long are we going to struggle to have financial freedom? How long are we going to struggle just to have to be able to benefit from the medical care that we have here? Like, America had developed and produced, distributed their vaccines. Europe developed, produced, distributed their vaccines. China as well. we have a vaccine here, and we have several vaccines here in the Caribbean, and we stuck at the development, well, not really developmental, but the production stage. And it just hurts to think that, we are so, we have it, and we're not making the most of it. And so we both thought, I was like, we should pray for them. And she said, yeah, but maybe we should fast. I was like, yeah, we should definitely fast for them. And then she was like, but when we would fast? And I was like, next week, Monday. And then she was like, how long would fast for? And I responded, for 3 days. So it's like,
we were dialogue. Just the back and forth. Yeah.
And as the questions were asked, the responses came.
Right.
And initially, we were both going to do it amongst ourselves. And then somehow I started to see me sending it to different groups and to different persons. And I was like, was this? I felt like I should have shared the idea with the wider community. And I was scared. To say the least, I was scared. Yes. Because I started to think, oh, well, I might share this and then people might not receive it well. And, they might think, well, who she thinks she is to share this. So, so I was really scared, and I called my prayer group leader. And this was the sense of humor, God's sense of humor. So I called her, and I was telling my leader that my sister and I were planning to do a fast, and we were thinking of sharing it with other members. And she said to me that the Holy Spirit said to her to go to him and ask him, and he would answer me. And as she was describing what he was saying that I should do, he was responding to me and telling me to go brave. So I was like, so what do you really want? What do you really want? You want me to come to you, or should I just take this as the answer? He is explaining the process that he is telling her, and he's giving me the answer at the same time. And I'm just there like, really? But
Holy Spirit.
I still followed the instructions, and I did settle down, say my concerns, and the response didn't change. So I wrote up the notice about it, and I sent it out. And it was easy for me to send it to persons that I knew, that I was familiar with. But when it came to like the groups that I had to send it to, I was just like, it took a lot of courage to be able to send it to the groups. And I think I was able to overcome that. My sister and I actually were able to overcome that, because we thought, that's not for us to worry about. What we are supposed to do is to send out the message. And whatever is supposed to be done in people's subconscious minds, the Lord will have to deal with that aspect of it. And so send it out. And the document is actually a list of verses that, most of them are verses that I actually use from time to time. And I initially wasn't going to do the document, but some persons had asked if there were any specific prayers that we had to say. And when I rethought about it, I felt led to produce the document. I wasn't very I was trying to avoid doing the document, but somehow I just felt the urge to send it out because it seemed like it was needed. So I did the document and I surprised myself.
It was really good. It was really good. When it's Holy Spirit inspired, I mean, it just kind of flows, right? It does. And what was the experience like for you fasting for 3 days? What was the experience like for you and your sister?
Well, for me, it's not the first time that I fasted. So I actually started fasting earlier on in the year, and I enjoyed the experience. The first time that I fasted and actually consecrated the fast, because a lot of times people say they're fasting, but they're still watching TV and they're still playing game, and it's like a normal day and they're just fasting from Coca-Cola or they're just fasting from chocolate, and then after the fast they just go back to eating chocolate and Coca-Cola, so it was the first time that I actually fasted, and instead of having meals, I replaced it with something spiritual. And the connection that I felt with the Holy Spirit, it was on a completely different level. Right. And so since then, I started fasting more frequently. And I encouraged my sister as well. And the experience in fasting, this last fast, is fasting. I find that whenever I fast, I get answers. I definitely get answers. Things that would probably take much longer seem to happen much faster. If I have a task to do, it just happens so easily and so smoothly. And I was actually fasting right before, when I was expecting my visa to return to attend the community. And I wasn't hearing anything at all. They didn't email me to say, it was leaving, and it was coming close to the time when it was supposed to return, and I didn't hear anything. And 2 days after the fast, boom, they called me to tell me that they have a package for me. And I'm like, but you all didn't even send me the email like you all usually do to say that the package on the way. So I was like, well, look at that. So I've had testimonies from fasting, and even on this fast, because my aunt had also joined the fast as well. And she said that she was trying this recipe for buns for a while, and she just wasn't getting it right. And she said while she was doing the fast, something just tell her, try to make them now. And so she went and she tried to make them, and she said they came out perfect. The buns came out perfect. And I was like, yes. So to me, consecrated prayer and fasting brings a lot of results and growth, spiritual growth, because you're not very focused on the usual everyday activities, and you're able to really be used and be influenced by the Holy Spirit. Your body not worrying about digesting all that food, and you're really able to just have time to connect. So fasting is always a great experience for me. I actually really enjoy fasting, which might sound weird because, a lot of people are like fasting, and it may sound kind of weird also because I love food. But I think that's what makes fasting even more of a sacrifice, because I love food so much.
Right. So I'm glad that you were obedient, you shared, and you were able to get clarity and so forth. So our time is running out, and I have to say I'm really enjoying this conversation. But I just really want to ask you one thing. As you embark on this journey, Maia, is there anything that you need from us as a diocese? A support, what do you think as a diocese we could do to support you through this journey that you're embarking
on? Well, I mostly have basically everything that I need. The community has gone above and beyond to ensure that I was able to get there. I was able to get assistance from my church. I was able to get assistance from the diocese and even from Bishop Berkeley. And so I would be thankful for any other assistance that anyone would be able to give. It's not that I wouldn't be taken care of.
Right.
And also prayer would help a lot. Prayer is very powerful. And so, to me, if sharing this experience is able to make someone's life better, if sharing this experience empowers someone, that is more important to me than anything else. So if you feel led to share in whatever way you wish to share, I would graciously accept it. But for me, if my sharing has made someone's life better, if my sharing has motivated someone, that is a gift to me within itself.
Right. Well, I know for sure that as a diocese, we will definitely continue to lift you up in prayer, and we pray that the Holy Spirit reveals what needs to be revealed to you, Maia, as you go along on this journey. I would like to say on behalf of the diocese, we wish you all the best. That you're able to really hear God's voice in the quietness and stillness and in all the activities that you do. And thank you so very much for being brave to share your experience with us today. Thank you very much for that. So all the best, Maia. Have a safe flight, because by the time this interview airs, you're supposed to leave on the 6th of October, right? So by the time this interview airs, you should be in England already, settling in. So we really wish you all the best. Safety, be safe, of course, as usual. And just really, enjoy it. As I said, you don't want to pay no bills or nothing like that. So enjoy that. Just enjoy it, Maia. Enjoy it. And I hope that you come back to us refreshed and ready, just to embark on the work that needs to be done, whatever you're led to do. Right. So thank you very much for your time today, Maia. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch Conversations with Anglicans. Remember to wear your mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. Bye, everyone.